Hello, BookTube. I have some mail for you today on an absolutely beautiful day. Just beautiful. It rained last night. Rain came through at one point in fairly heavy rain, but you could tell. Even I was reading in bed, the whole world was quiet, the bean was sound asleep, and I heard the rain start, and I could tell even then that it wasn't going to last, and it didn't. And today was beautiful, just a beautiful blue sky day. I think more rain is coming. I think another swath of rain, much bigger than last night's, is coming, and then another clear day, and then another swath of rain. So I don't imagine this is going to be unbroken. But my oh my, today where you could just have a hoodie on, or even not that, if you were walking around outside and be perfectly comfortable, just lovely. Uh, and we have a little bit of mail. Two or no, three periodicals. The first two are the Martha's Vineyard Gazette. I got double shipped the Martha's Vineyard Gazette. So there we have kids going to school. These high definition cover photos that are just wonderful. And here we have these two. These guys are pulling into harbor, maybe? What does the caption say there? Dramatic rescue of a 42-foot schooner that went aground in a storm that took place in Vineyard Harbor Tuesday morning. Oh my. Okay, so they're being rescued. Okay. No wonder they seem so happy. The Vineyard Gazette is great. It's a fantastic newspaper. It's got the nature columns in the back, also with original photographs. And I'm their book reviewer, and we are slowly approaching the summer season when the book reviewing, like everything else on the island, tends to go a little fallow during the winter when the tourists aren't around. But that's changing. I think I'm getting a book in the mail from my editor soon to start up. Hopefully, do one a week would be great. And then the other periodical is the Bedford Times Press from Bedford, Iowa. A little local newspaper put out in Taylor County, Iowa, that is all about local school boards, local commerce boards, local awards, local 911 calls, local crop details, that sort of thing. There's only one thing in here that isn't local, as I show you every single time. There's only one thing in here that is completely universal, and that's me. The Bedford Times Press gives me a column, my Ex Libris column. Also, the Lenox Times in Iowa also gives me my column. And they give me, I don't know if you can make it out here, but they give me a generous amount of space, which is really, really nice. I have a generous amount of space there. And it's my column is, these are not book reviews. I've had to get back into the groove of writing a book column. I used to do it a long, long time ago, and it's completely different than writing book reviews. It's a different tone, a different voice, different pacing, everything. And I forgot how much I love it. I absolutely love it. I love them both. And this is all about bookish subjects. Now it's paywalled, so you can't read this online. You would have to subscribe to the Bedford Times Press. You could do that. You could absolutely do that. Just let's not have any illusions here. None of the rest of the paper will be of interest to you if you don't live in Iowa. But it's the way to get this column, which would be of interest to you if you read books. How does this one start? Given the mighty torrents of bad news these days, given the sloshing swampland of rumor, bile, and ignorance that is the world of social media, you'd be forgiven for doubting that there ever could be a bookish side to it all. You'd think books and readers would simply get shouted off such a crowded and garishly lit stage. But this isn't the case. It's been my experience that the universally stubbornly bookish things gain a toehold in even the sandiest soil. There aren't many dedicated readers in the world. There are billions of people in the world who would literally rather die than voluntarily read a book, something many diehard readers tend to forget while bathing in their bookish bliss. But the small number of readers in the world sure do like to talk about their passion. And I go on from there. Great deal of fun. I love writing this column. I write my column on the weekends. So those are the periodicals. We have 2 copies of the Vineyard Gazette and the Bedford Times Press. And then we have 2 packages, and the first one is from Book Depository. So it could easily be a violation of rule number 1. For those of you who are new to the channel, rule number 1 is don't send me a book. Don't do it. No matter how tempting it is, it's all I do on this channel is talk about books. Don't send me a book. Many of you have felt the need to break rule number 1. Okay, this is all right. Okay, this is this must be the same sender. Okay, this is book 3 in the Grim Noir Chronicles. This is Warbound by Larry Correia. These are urban fantasies that you might remember in previous book mail haul. I got the first 2 volumes, and here's volume 3. Okay, great. I haven't actually got to the first 2 volumes yet. Only a handful of people in the world know that mankind's magic comes from a living creature, a refugee from another universe. The power showed up here in the 1850s because it was running from something. Now it's 1933, and the power's hiding place has been discovered by a killer. Okay, well, I will read book 1 and book 2 and book 3, but I can't guarantee that I will like this. A lot of bother was gone to get this to me, and if I don't like it, I'm not going to keep it, especially not an ebook, a printed book. Speaking of ebooks, though, sending me ebooks is not a violation of rule number 1. Very much not. They don't take up any space. I can do as many as I want. You are free to send me as many ebooks as you want at any time of the day or night. I will never upbraid you for it. And there's another thing that also isn't covered by rule number 1, and that's your tech. You can send me your tech. You are welcome to send me your tech. You are urged to send me your tech. You, specifically, have an iPad sitting in a cabinet somewhere. You know that it works. iPads don't break. You know that it works. You just don't use it anymore. You've upgraded. You have a better phone or a different iPad. So that one just sits there in that cabinet. When I have put out a call for that not to be true, what I want you to do is go to that cabinet, find that iPad, charge it up. Once it's got power, I want you to factory reset it, wipe it clean, then power it off, wrap the power cord up with the iPad, stick it in a padded envelope, and send it to me. That's what I want you to do. I want you to send that iPad to me where it will have a loving, caring home instead of sitting in a cabinet wasting space. That is perfectly fine. That does not violate any rules. But ebooks don't either. So the other thing we have here is a package, and it's from a publisher, so it won't be another violation of rule number 1. This is just a book in a box here. So let's take a look at what we have here. Okay. All right. This comes out in mid-April. It will be a paperback original. It's $30, but it's a paperback original. Okay, this is edited by Julian Zelizer, and it is The Presidency of Donald J. Trump, a first historical assessment. As featured on CBS Morning earlier this year, this book is a series of essays by leading political historians offering one of the first scholarly assessments of the presidency of Trump. This follows other PUP, this is Princeton University Press, volumes on modern presidencies, including Bush and Obama. Okay. All right, this comes out in mid-April. I, of course, applaud the effort. I think this is the finished copy. Yeah, this is going to be the finished copy. Is this a new release? Or is it a paperback? No, I think this is a paperback. I think this is a new release. It's just going to be a paperback original. You already know what I think about this. There is no point in assessing the presidency of Donald Trump other than the events of January 6, 2020. There's no point in assessing anything else. This is not a political figure. This is not a U.S. president. This had nothing to do with politics or with administrations, not after January 6th. This is someone who organized on a deep level, on a detailed level, day by day, for months ahead of time, a violent, orchestrated coup to overthrow the United States government, invalidate a legal election, execute his vice president, and install himself in power illegally, presumably for the rest of his life, at which point it would go to his children. There's nothing anything like that anywhere in the roster of U.S. presidents. There's nothing anything like that. No other U.S. president wanted to end America. No other one wanted to do that. They might have dreamed about it, but they never put it on paper, much less tried to make it happen. As far as I'm concerned, that is the only legitimate study of the figure of Donald Trump. And there's only a very limited amount of time left where that can be done. As far as I'm concerned, that's the only legitimate study of this figure. I don't care about economic policies in 2017. I don't care about that at all, because 3 years after 2017, this figure tried to overthrow the government and install himself as a dictator. That's the only thing that's worth paying attention to. The rest of it, I mean, I'll read these essays because I imagine some of these contributors are really, really smart, and probably they all know roughly the kind of objection that I'm raising. I can't be the only person to raise such an objection. So I will read these things and I will review this book. But it seems to me that talking about this figure's relations with China in 2018 or his economic policies in 2017 is a lot like saying, well, at least he made the trains run on time. It's a lot like the elderly German couple in Judgment at Nuremberg that defensively say, well, Hitler did do some good things. We won't say that he didn't do some good things. You're supposed to hate that they're saying that. You're supposed to sympathize with them, but totally disagree. You're supposed to, in that moment, you're supposed to see that as a desperate psychological flailing. And that is what strikes me here. The only thing to talk about with this figure is that he tried to overthrow the government. But apparently we are going to talk about other things here. Let's take a peek at the table of contents. I won't read this until it comes out in mid-April. I'll read it at the beginning of April. What are some of the titles here? Reckoning with the Trumpian GOP, How Trump Transformed Right-Wing Media, Crisis of Truth in the Age of Trump, Militant Whiteness in the Age of Trump, Latinos for Trump, Immigration Policy and Politics under Trump, Rhetoric and Reality of Infrastructure during the Trump presidency, the Trump administration and climate change, Black Lives Matter, Tech in the time of Trump, Trump and international alliances, Trump and China, Trump in the Middle East. Wait a minute. Okay, well, let's just keep going then. Trump's attacks on the FBI, Trump's culpability and COVID-19, the Democratic response to Trump, and impeachment after Trump. There is not a single essay in here with the January 6th uprising in the title. You're not going to tell me that none of them are about that, are you? Then I am going to review this thing anyway, but if none of them are about that, my review is mainly going to consist of expletives and Gaelic. January 6th does not occur in the index. Impeachment, independent counsel, infrastructure, Laura Ingraham, international alliance, Iran. Insurrection does not occur in the index. Okay. All right. Well, there's no chance that this was made after, or there's no chance that this was put together before the insurrection. So, okay. Well, I'll reserve judgment. Right? It's an explosive subject, but that's when you need to reserve judgment most. It's with explosive subjects, so I will reserve judgment. But this is coming out in mid-April. If you are interested, you have lived through these times. These are for no matter what, for good or ill, it's all ill. These are extremely historic times. This is a major, pivotal point in the history of America, and you lived through it. So, if you want a book about it that isn't by some nut job, these essays, as far as I can tell, are legitimately vetted by a major academic press, so they won't be nut jobs. If you're looking for something like that, this is coming out in mid-April. I will certainly review it. But anyway, that is the mail. Wow, what a sobering end to that mail haul. So what we learned was, the main thing was that you can subscribe to the Bedford Times Press, and if you decide to do that for my column, be sure to let the editor of the Bedford Times Press know that that's the reason you're subscribing. I mean, they like me there, and I like them, so I don't think my standing is in danger, but it always helps with freelancers to let editors know that they're the reason that you were moved to spend your money. And also, we have a reiteration of rule number 1. Don't send me a book. I really appreciate the person who did this, sent me all 3 of these volumes. That's great. But don't send me a book unless it's an ebook. You can send me as many ebooks as you want. And you can send me that iPad or that old Kobo that you have or whatever it is. You know that you have it. Factory reset it, put it in a padded envelope, and send it to me. Anyway, that's the mail for today. I'm going to wrap this up for now. I'll be back, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.